The crown prince died from his father's medicine. Our entire family faced execution or exile. The one who caused this outcome was my cousin, that gentle and elegant jade-like young master. Before the family was destroyed, he once said I would be his wife. But after the purge, he walked arm in arm with the princess, stepping over the corpses of our family to climb even higher. Such deep hatred, yet he still wanted me to be his concubine. Lucas Chin had recently been negotiating a marriage alliance with the sixth princess, the younger sister of the third prince. The marquis' estate hosted a grand flower-viewing banquet to welcome the sixth princess. Everyone attended, except me. I was merely the daughter of a conciliatory marriage from a branch family of the marquis' household. Now, with my family in ruins and having been exiled before, I was only allowed to stay in the estate due to social pressure. But appearing in public? Absolutely out of the question. Yet I couldn't just wait for death. The collaboration between the marquis' estate and the third prince was flourishing, leaving me little time. That day, I dug out a pale green silk dress from my chest and replaced my plain white robe. This color used to be my favorite. After changing, I brewed a cup of tea and sat under the phoenix tree in the courtyard. I knew he would come. When Lucas saw me, his expression visibly softened. I poured him a cup of tea. "Young master, what brings you here today?" "Just passing by," Lucas said, taking a sip. "Young master, if you have something to say, speak plainly." "Vivian, the princess is visiting today. If all goes well, I will marry her." "I know. Congratulations on achieving your wish." I lifted the teapot and refilled his cup. "You know I don't want to hear that. But I must make this clear, marrying the princess is for the sake of the marquis' estate. But my heart belongs to you." Lucas clenched the teacup. His words could only fool himself. "Young master is about to be wed. Why say such things now? Or do you expect me to be your concubine?" "Vivian, listen. After the wedding, the princess will reside in her own estate. You can stay here. It won't affect us." I lowered my head, fiddling with the teapot, avoiding his gaze. "The front courtyard must be busy today. Young master should attend to the guests." "Vivian Moore, how long do you plan to hide?" Lucas slammed the cup onto the table. I slowly set down the teapot and met his eyes. "Then let me be clear today, I will never be a concubine. Not now, not ever. Don't come looking for me again." At my words, Lucas's face darkened. "If not me, then who? Who else would take you?" "Vivian Moore, don't forget, you're not the same as before. After returning from exile, being with me is your best option." With that, he stormed off. I stared blankly at the cold tea on the table and murmured with a faint smile, "What a waste." I poured the remaining tea into the flower bed. The tea had been laced with poison. From the day I entered the marquis' estate until now, nearly half a year had passed. It was a modified formula left by my father, colorless, odorless, and technically not even a poison. It eroded one's foundation and sanity. Once the foundation was ruined, life wouldn't last long. In his youth, my father was a renowned physician in the martial world, summoned to treat the ailing crown prince. Later, he remained in the capital as a royal physician. Rumors claimed that the physician wasn't just skilled in healing but also in crafting poisons, though no one had ever seen proof. Until 2 years ago, when the crown prince suddenly died of poisoning. All evidence pointed to my father and the second prince. Father tried to resign and return to his hometown, but the emperor and crown prince adamantly refused. Desperate to leave the capital, father sought the second prince's help, only for it to become the key evidence condemning him. By the decree of heaven, the emperor proclaims, royal physician Ryan Moore conspired with the second prince to poison the crown prince. The crime is unforgivable, His wife, children, and household shall be stripped of property and exiled to the northern wastelands. So it is decreed. When the edict arrived, our entire family, including father, was stunned. "Your Majesty, I am innocent." Father cried out in despair, but no one listened. Before being dragged away, he gripped Mother's and my hands. You must survive. I regret so much. I hesitated too long, didn't leave the capital sooner. We could have traveled the world together. I promised to show you the beauty of the empire. But I overthought, acted too late. Those people are mad, even the crown prince wasn't spared. Stripped of his position, Father became a condemned criminal. No one cared about a man destined for execution or exile. The soldiers forced Mother and me to the ground, and we could only watch as he was taken away. But we all knew, Father would never have poisoned anyone. Because the rumors were right, Father was exceptionally skilled in crafting poisons. If he wanted someone dead, no trace would ever be found. If not Father, then who? Who else knew about his poison making? Only one person, my cousin, Lucas Jean. As the illegitimate son of the marquis' household, he had admired Father's medical skills as a child and often visited to study under him. Back then, the marquis' estate was in decline. The primary wife was obsessed with bearing her own child, so no one paid attention to where an illegitimate son like Lucas wandered off to. To avoid notice, he sometimes came through formal invitations, other times through a dog hole. This went on for a year or two. Father had no formal disciples, only a few apprentices, none of whom ever learned about poisons. Only Lucas had that chance. At one point, Father even considered taking him as a disciple, but it never happened. Because the primary wife, having suffered from illness in her youth, struggled to conceive. When she finally bore a child, it was a sickly daughter. So Lucas was elevated from bastard to legitimate heir. From then on, he rarely visited us. Instead, his sister often invited me to the estate. It had to be him. But his time studying was too short, he couldn't have mastered Father's true expertise. That poison he used must have been a crude imitation. The flower viewing banquet was a success. Soon after, the emperor decreed the marriage between Lucas and the sixth princess. The night of the decree, Lucas came to my courtyard again. When I refused to open the door, he stood outside all night, and fell ill the next morning. Vivian Moore, you jinx. First, you brought ruin to your family, and now you're harming mine. I always said we shouldn't keep you. Lucas's sister, Rebecca Cheen, stormed into my quarters with a crowd of maids. Younger sister, welcome. What brings you here? I sat by the window, toying with my teapot. You know damn well why. Ungrateful wretch, my brother caught a chill because of you and now can't even leave his bed. And here you are, living comfortably. Rebecca didn't sit, standing aggressively nearby. Young master is ill? How? He seemed fine days ago. I feigned ignorance. Stop pretending. You know exactly why he's sick, he stood outside your courtyard all night. Rebecca was livid. Younger sister, you wrong me. I wasn't feeling well yesterday and retired early. Huh. Unlike my brother, I won't fall for your act. Who do you think you are now? An exile. If not for mother and brother's kindness, you'd never have set foot here. But I'm not as soft-hearted as them. With that, she flung a cup of tea at me. Servants! Drag her out. However long brother stood, make her kneel that long. Rebecca smirked as her maids and matrons seized me. No need for force. I shook them off and walked out myself, kneeling in the courtyard. I didn't regret this. Lucas, a man who rarely fell ill, was now bedridden from a mere night in the rain, proof that my poison was working. The marquis' estate wouldn't last much longer. Kneeling in damp clothes for an afternoon, I collapsed before 4 hours had passed. The maids, fearing a death on their hands, hurriedly carried me inside. When I woke, Lucas was at my bedside. Vivian, you're awake. How do you feel? Lucas helped me sit up. Young master, why are you here? You fainted for so long, how could I not come? He supported me. I heard about what happened. Rebecca has been spoiled since childhood, but she didn't mean harm. I'll discipline her. Young master, don't say that. She's my sister too. It's my fault for being weak, making you ill, then collapsing like this. Tears welled in my eyes. Lucas's heart softened at the sight. No, my illness isn't your fault. Rebecca was wrong, she's grown arrogant, especially with the third prince's backing. The third prince? Yes, it's not public yet, but the third prince intends to marry Rebecca. I fell silent. The marquis' estate had truly risen, the third prince would wed a daughter of a declining house. Congratulations are in order, then. The alliance between the third prince and the marquis' estate grew stronger. Lucas would marry the princess, Rebecca would wed the third prince. No, in the marquis' eyes, Rebecca was the future empress. After that, Rebecca grew even more unruly. To avoid disrupting the marriages, the marquis' wife forbade her from leaving the estate, confining her to practice needlework. Trapped indoors, Rebecca visited me even more frequently. Vivian Moore, what's the point of you living like this? Rebecca sat in my usual spot, playing with my tea set. Back then, your father saved the crown prince and became the emperor's favorite. So many sought your family's favor, yet you refused them all, even my father was turned away. But now your family is dead or scattered. Yet here you are, eating and drinking at our expense. If I were you, I'd have hanged myself long ago. How dare you return to the capital? She poured herself a cup. Ugh, disgusting. She grimaced after a sip. My brother often drinks tea here. I thought it'd be something special. This? Ignoring her rudeness, I moved to the other side of the table. Since younger sister is here, you shouldn't drink this. Try this instead. I brought out Lucas's favorite tea. Rebecca sipped. Better, but still mediocre. Pack some for me to take back. Of course. After indulging in several cups, she left satisfied with a canister of tea. After the marriage decree, Lucas was busy preparing for the wedding and didn't visit for a while. It was time to plan my own escape. Snow Willow. Yes, Mississippi. Your orders? The courtyard is too plain. There are 2 lotus lanterns in my chest, hang them where they're most visible. I gazed out the window. But miss, it's not a festival. Do it. Don't make me repeat myself. This was our signal, I fulfilled my part, he would get me out. That night, an estate in the eastern city. Master, word from the marquis' estate. It's done, she hung the lotus lanterns. Good. She's impressive. Now, only the final steps remained. I didn't know how he would extract me, but as long as I held evidence of the third prince's regicide and the poison formula, he had no choice. These were my bargaining chips. Later, Lucas married the 6th princess, though he only stayed at her estate for the first few days before returning home. They lived separately, maintaining an uneasy balance. But one day, that balance shattered. The main household summoned me, something they'd never allowed before, having excused me from daily greetings. So you're Vivian Moore. Pretty face. Do you know your crime? The marquis' wife glared as I entered. Aunt, greetings. What have I done to offend you? My mother was the marquis' illegitimate daughter. Though we shared no affection, by technicality, I could call her aunt. You call me aunt, but I dare not accept it. Taking you in was already an act of utmost kindness, yet instead of gratitude, you seduce the heir. What a disgrace to your father's name. The Marchioness's expression was stern, her tone devoid of any warmth. Aunt, no, my lady. How could such words be spoken? Since arriving at the marquis' estate, I have kept to myself, never leaving my courtyard unless necessary. I would never do such a thing. I quickly knelt, pleading my case. You still dare to lie? The heir came to me himself, saying he wants to take you as a concubine, that you're already his woman. The Marchioness slammed her palm on the table. Let me make this clear, the heir is marrying a princess, and it's his wedding season. If you want to degrade yourself, that's your business. But don't even think about being a concubine, you won't even be a maidservant. My lady, I swear I've never harbored improper thoughts toward the heir, nor have I ever been intimate with him. I only wish to repay your kindness in sheltering me someday. I knelt on the cold stone floor, my voice trembling with sincerity. The Marchioness seemed momentarily moved but said nothing. Her Highness the Princess has arrived. A sharp female voice suddenly announced. Oh? Perfect timing. A woman in a pink silk dress swept in, flanked by 5 or 6 maids. Let me see the woman who dares to seduce my husband. A pair of gold-embroidered white slippers stopped before me. Red lacquered nails tipped my chin up. Pretty enough, no wonder the consort is so infatuated. Pity, this household isn't his to rule. She turned and seated herself in the host's chair, forcing the Marchioness to stand aside. I won't make this difficult. Cayenne, sell her to the Red Joy Pavilion. The princess leaned back, sipping tea as if discussing the weather. A place like that suits you better. Gold, jewels, endless luxuries await. Even the Marchioness paled at this, but after a hesitation, she stayed silent. Your Highness, reconsider. Though my family has fallen, I'm still of respectable status. Respectable? A nobody like you, status can be changed with a word. The princess cut me off. I had to think fast. Before he made his move, I needed to save myself. The Marchioness's silence was consent. Who else could help? The Marquis? Lucas? The princess's matrons were already seizing my arms. My lady, the imperial edict has arrived. A servant rushed in. An edict? Had the third prince finally set the marriage date for Rebecca? The Marchioness brightened, hastily ordering the household to receive the decree. To prevent my escape, the princess left 2 maids to bind me with ropes and lock me in a side room. The bonds were tight, no amount of twisting loosened them. Time blurred until the sound of shattering porcelain erupted outside. Mother! You said I'd be the principal wife. How could it be a secondary consort? The tearful voice was unmistakably Rebecca's. And that low-born wretch, how does the 5th prince even know her? How dare she stand equal to me? More crashes followed. Patience, patience. A secondary consort is still honorable, and the 3rd prince has no principal wife yet. There's still hope. The voices dropped to whispers. Secondary consort? I mused silently. But why was the 5th prince involved? The 5th prince had been sickly since childhood, frail and undersized. Unfavored by the emperor, he'd spent years in seclusion or traveling. The door creaked open. The 2 maids returned. I tensed, but they only untied me. Her Highness has spared you. Remember your place and stay away from the consort. After the warning, they released me back to my courtyard. As I left, I caught their mutters, what luck, to escape the princess's wrath. At my courtyard gate. Young Miss has returned. A chorus of unfamiliar maids and matrons knelt before me. Congratulations, young miss. Rise. Confused, I acknowledged them and hurried inside. What's happening? I asked Snow Willow, my maid. Congratulations, young miss. The imperial decree came this afternoon. The young lady is to wed the 3rd prince as his secondary consort, and you're to marry the 5th prince, also as a secondary consort. Jade Green, another maid, kneaded my legs eagerly. I heard the 5th prince personally petitioned the emperor. Such devotion. Though he lacks imperial favor, he's still a prince, and you'll be a consort. Silence. Princes aren't for us to discuss. Who were those people outside? I reclined on the daybed. Sent by the 5th prince. When they arrived, the Marchioness's face turned black, but she couldn't refuse. You're under the 5th prince's protection now. Snow Willow's joy was unmistakable. Snow Willow had been my choice, a plain, simple girl from the lowest ranks when I first arrived. Her loyalty was her only virtue. Snow Willow, do you wish to leave with me? Of course, young miss. Where you go, I follow. She clutched my sleeve anxiously. I trust you. So I ask a favor, fetch me egg custard from the kitchen, and drop this into the well. I placed a small pouch on the table. Inside was only sugar, a test. This is. She paled. I said nothing, watching her. Once I left the marquis' estate, all debts would come due. I couldn't afford disloyalty. I'll do as you ask, young Mississippi. After a struggle, her gaze firmed. The rights for a secondary consort were far simpler than a principal wife's. The Marchioness busied herself with Rebecca's dowry, leaving me forgotten. Which suited me perfectly. Escape was all that mattered. That night, I waited on the bridal bed for the fifth prince. The sudden decree could only mean one thing. The door creaked open. A slender man entered, fair-skinned, shorter than most, his black-red robes accentuating his pallor. Your Highness. I rose to bow. No need. He strode past, seating himself on the bed. His eyes gleamed with amusement. I promised to extract you from the marquis' estate. My vow is fulfilled. Where's your proof? So it was you. Our past dealings had been through a curtain, this was our first true meeting. The evidence is hidden in my dowry. Send someone to retrieve it. As for Lucas Cheen, he's no longer a threat. Did the medicine I gave you work? Well enough. The fifth prince smiled faintly. The net closes soon. Silence lingered. I didn't expect this method. A consort like me will tarnish your reputation, I ventured. It's not just for you. He tapped his folded fan against his palm. I need you to play a role. Your Highness commands. Bear me a child. Your Highness? Don't panic. A false pregnancy. But once done, you'll never leave my side. His gaze was steady. Agreed. I exhaled. I was already on your ship. All proceeded smoothly. In the fifth prince's estate, I stayed secluded until, 2 months later, news broke of my pregnancy. Only then did I learn whose child I was supposedly carrying. Your Highness, your stomach? I stared at the slight bulge beneath his robes. Why the shock? This is your child, my heir. The fifth prince smirked. The truth struck me, the fifth prince was a woman. No wonder he had always been frail, shorter than most men. But how? The imperial palace, how had this deception lasted? As if reading my thoughts, the prince explained. My mother bore twins, a brother and me. At 7, her maid was bribed to poison our desserts. I ate little and survived, my brother didn't. The culprits? A few expendable heads rolled. She tightened the cloth binding her abdomen. A prince and princess are worlds apart. They targeted him first, we couldn't let them win. So I became the fifth prince, my brother died as the seventh princess. To maintain the ruse, I've traveled often since adulthood, rarely staying court. She donned an outer robe. So your feud with the third prince is vengeance? Vengeance? The list is long. At 12, my mother wasted away in the rear palace. Every consort had a hand in it, even the emperor's neglect. But that mother-son pair is ruthless. If I don't act, others will. Besides. She gazed at the dawn through the window. I wonder if a woman can sit the throne. I swallowed my shock, helping her adjust her robes. May your Highness succeed. Thank you. Her smile was fleeting. Your Highness, the child's father? My personal guard, eldest son of General Genuin's third son. He's in the northern frontier now. Soon, we'll join him until the birth. His younger brother, Ching-su, is skilled in martial arts. He'll guard you temporarily. At the door, she paused. You're 2 months pregnant. Be cautious, don't let the ruse slip. At 3 months pregnant, the third prince's mother, imperial consort Li, summoned me. His Majesty approved my request to govern the northern frontier. For the child's safety, you'll accompany me. Today, the consort may provoke you. Ignore her. If she tries to detain you, say I decide all matters. The prince, actually 4 months pregnant, could no longer hide her condition beneath robes. In Yonghe Palace, the consort presided. Beside her sat Rebecca, now the third prince's secondary consort, and the sixth princess, Lucas's wife. Sister Yan's womb is diligent, conceiving so soon. Rebecca sneered. But can a lowly body truly carry imperial blood? Sister flatters me. How could I compare to her highness's blessings? I ignored Rebecca, eyeing the princess's swollen belly. The fifth prince's doses to the third prince had been far heavier than mine to Lucas. One side effect was infertility. Rebecca's barrenness was expected, but the princess's belly? A scandal. She must have been pregnant before wedding Lucas. I need no reminders of my fortune. If not for that edict, who knows where you'd be now? The princess sipped tea, one hand resting on her stomach. Enough. The consort cut in. Since you've married the fifth prince, we're family now. His Highness selflessly volunteers to govern the harsh north, we mustn't chill his devotion. So today, we discuss your situation. This child is his first. It must be safeguarded. Your ladyship's concern touches me. I'll protect this child with my life. You seem reliable. But the north is cold and distant, travel endangers the child. Stay in the capital. Our midwives surpass those barbarians. Your ladyship is kind, but a wife follows her husband. I defer to the fifth prince. Rejecting grace for disgrace? Remember, you're a secondary consort, an exile's daughter. The fifth prince won't shield you. The consort's matron hissed. What harsh words. A familiar voice rang out. The fifth prince strode in. Regardless of her past, she's my consort, bearing my heir. If I don't shield her, who will? He stepped to my side, steadying me. Imperial consortly, greetings. Though it seems your management of servants has slipped, how dare this matron speak to her mistress so? My servants are indeed lacking. Without notice, the fifth prince barges in. What manners are these? Consortly, you contradict yourself. Weren't we just family? Now you fault my courtesy? Yanqing, you go too far. Think fleeing to the north frees you from my reach? I remain your mother. The consort hurled her teacup at the prince. Mother? You seized custody but never lifted a finger. I survived by my own wits. Did you think I'd stay that helpless child? He gripped my hand. Vivian, bid your mother farewell. Yanqing. The consort's curses chased us out. We departed for the northern frontier before the prince's pregnancy became visible. An eastern estate, purchased earlier by Qingxiao, Qingsu's elder brother, became our base. Here, far from the emperor's eyes, I shed the pretense of pregnancy indoors. My thoughts drifted to the evidence uncovered at the marquis' estate, proof of the third prince's treason, including Lucas's role in framing my father. The poison used to kill the crown prince? Stolen from our home by Lucas. Father had saved the crown prince, only to be trapped as a royal physician. His repeated resignations angered the emperor. Why release a lifesaver? To them, father's guilt mattered little. He was collateral. My consort, what weighs on you? The prince's use of consort grated, knowing she was a woman made the title absurd. Nothing, your highness. The new batch of medicine is ready. I increased the dosage. I set the lacquered box on the table. Were it not witnessed, I'd never believe a concoction could erode temper so thoroughly. Your skills are peerless. She examined a vial. You flatter me. I possess but half my father's knowledge. His notes made this possible. Father had preferred healing, I'd favored the peculiar. Modesty ill suits you. This medicine is pivotal. The third prince grows reckless, our spies report secret troop buildups. She lifted a missive, her gravid belly not dimming her authority. 7 months along now. Continue the regimen? I eyed her abdomen. Since arriving north, she demanded a potion to hasten the child's growth. Proceed. The capital's unrest could erupt any moment. I must birth this child before their strike. Outside, Qingsu intercepted me. Lady Yan, a word, does this medicine endanger Her Highness? All medicine carries risk, young Master Qing. But fear not, once the child reaches 8 months, I guarantee both will thrive. Qingsu was the prince's right hand, future frontline general against the third prince. Thus, she'd ordered me to withhold the risks, let him focus on war. Mid-autumn festival approached, rumors placed the third prince's coup on this night. The prince had returned to the capital a month prior, hiding troops at the city's edge. A decoy retinue posed as a death sentence for them. On the 10th, she drank the labor-inducing draught. By midnight, a son was born. Watching her exhaustion, I ventured, why choose this time for the child? A happy accident. Qingsu feared I'd leave him, this child was his anchor. The timing was a gamble. But my life's been wagers. I stack the odds, fate decides the rest. That night, the third prince struck. At the banquet, he pressed a blade to the emperor's throat. Father, must I kill you too? The crown prince was just the start. An arrow suddenly pierced the emperor's skull, likely the third prince's own man. As he declared himself ruler, the fifth prince entered with bound consort Li and key ministers. The ensuing massacre ended with the third prince's capture. Backed by the Grand Secretary and General Zhen Yuan, the fifth prince ascended the throne, a woman emperor unseen in history. 3 years later. Congratulations, noble consort. I was named imperial consort, the prince's son became my nominal child, the crown prince. With General Zhen Yuan's support, her reign solidified. During her second pregnancy, twins, as it happened, she toured the south incognito. Amid Jiangnan's beauty, she asked. With this birth, I'd make you empress. Your thoughts? I knelt. Your Majesty, serving you has been my honor. But the harem isn't my destiny. Speak plainly. Your women's academies and female official system, let me serve there. Word reached the capital, noble consort Yan had died in childbirth, posthumously named empress. Her son remained crown prince. Meanwhile, under Qing Shao's guard, I arrived in Guangxu County as magistrate, the first female official, disguised as a man. In the dungeons, Lucas Qin cowered in filth. Vivian! You've come to save me. As imperial consort, begged the emperor. I cut him off. Lucas, delusions suit you poorly. You're mistaken. I merely backed the wrong prince. The boy I knew died long ago. The marquis' household is no more. We'll never meet again. No. The sixth princess carries my child, the emperor's nephew. He'll spare me. I laughed. That child isn't yours. Did you think a physician's daughter wouldn't repay your betrayal? His screams followed me out, another ghost laid to rest.